Naga is the Sanskrit word for snake, and it is also the name of a semi-divine race of supernatural beings. Depending on the source, the Nagas are regarded as demons, deities, a race of serpents, supernatural serpent beings, water spirits, guardians, personified forces of nature, demigods or divine water serpents. I believe, however, that this is a well-disguised cover for one of the 7 tribes of the Elven Younger Dryas cultures. I believe they came across the Persian desert where they split from the tribe that traveled across the Siberian plateau into North America. One of the names of the Nagas are the Naga Thule. This tribe, for some reason Hitler thought that the German Nazis were a part of this tribe, as such he called the Thule culture, which he considered the perfect race of Germany. As disturbing as this may be, it does tie a connection of the Naga to possibly originating from the region of Germany, which was a part of the Younger Dryas' homeland. Other on-hand knowledge of this culture is the legendary occult demon named Astaroth, or his more proper name as being that of Nestor Nastaroth. He was a warlord of the Naga Thule during the later half of the Second War of Heaven. Well-known descendants of his bloodline are Atlas the Titan general and Goliath from the tale of David and Goliath. His culture were worshippers of the shadow beast Dagon, Golgothos the Dark One, as well as Mahakala and Kali. Eventually the Naga Thule culture became known as the Thuggee, a well-known culture in Hollywood movies such as Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This culture and region have always been worshippers of that which is dark and evil since the dawn of religion itself. The region also seems to be saturated with an evil taint similar to many others that I have felt around the world. It could be because their land marks the edge of the civilized world in the ancient days of magic, as meaning that to travel any further east from there would enter the kingdom of the necromancer and the shadowlands, which lead into the Vale of the Dead and then to the Valley of Shadows. Following the Valley of Shadows, which begin about 150 miles west of Malibu, California, and leads along a naturally made pathway that leads up from the ocean floor to the shores of Malibu. Once long ago there was no ocean between the continents like there is now. It was further to the south from Central America down to Argentina. Very treacherous waters that were said to have been highly corrosive due to high amounts of sulfuric acid that saturated the water from the chain of 9 peaks of fire, the ring of fire volcanoes that were constantly erupting and still above sea level at that time. They were the reason the Shadowlands were the lands of the dead. Nothing living could be there because of the heavy sulfur and phosphorus air that choked the skies. Once you enter what is now Malibu, then you would officially be in the barren lands of exile. Nothing grew or prospered on the surface and seemed like a region of total desolation, so the elders and civilizations sent their worst creatures and criminals there in banishment. All mythical legends that tell of anything being banished or a spell of exodus to another realm were sent but to the North American region. Even in this era, if you were to cast a spell of banishment on anything, it would appear somewhere in North America. It was also rumored that the ancient monsters, great beasts, were said to have roamed along the coastline of the deep Shadowlands and were scattered across the barren lands of exile. These were most likely remnant survivors of the dinosaurs. To the north of the Naga Thule, which occupied the northern mountains of Tibet and southern China, was a temple that was said to have been erected by the Naga that supposedly had the power to open a portal into an alternate dimension where it is said they relocated their entire civilization to. Traces of this gateway are still felt from what legends call the Devil's Seas or the Devil's Triangle. Most of the temple is submerged now, but some of the temple is still above water and a well-known tourist attraction there. It is said that the portal was activated by an amulet that resembles the artifact known as the Sunstone in the region of Peru. Nagas are regarded as demon serpents and they answer to one or more ruling gods such as Amitabha, Yama the king of the dead, and Shiva. The Naga Raja ruled domains ranging in size from a single field to an entire country. Nagas are expert navigators and began colonies on distant coasts. Nagas are heavily featured in both the Hindu and Buddhism mythology of India. Some possess a divine pearl of knowledge. My sources say that they are the guardians of the crescent moon stone. Sculpted Naga figures guard doorways to sacred places. Often Nagas are engraved in pillars. Stone slabs inscribed with their images are placed around special trees to assure human fertility. Serpent mythology and the Naga the snake is unlike other animals, in that it has a peculiar shape. Without limbs, it glides across the ground, and in Southeast Asia, some of the serpents actually glide through the air. Serpents have unblinking eyes, deadly venom, a forked tongue, and a sloughing process of its skin. These mysterious attributes of the serpent invite lore and legend, which in turn imbues mythic attributes of the Naga. For example, the serpent is believed to have chakshusravas, or hearing by sight. This is because there is no visible ear on the serpent. A serpent will stick out its tongue, giving an impression that serpents could feed on the wind. Thus, the serpent has many nicknames, include licker, double tongue, and wind eater. One of the most prominent serpents in Southeast Asia is the cobra, which, beyond its venom, also has thotted element of a hood. The cobra's hood has curious spectacle markings, called serpente lunettes in French and brillalang in Dutch. The Naga of Indian mythology particularly are beyond semi-divine serpents, they are the cobra raised up to the rank of a divine being. An annual rite, Sarpabali, has a dual purpose, honoring serpents and warding them away. The Sarpabali takes place in the rainy season, when the rains cause many snakes out of their underground hiding places and therefore are of the most danger to humans. The Sarpabali are specifically for the Nagas. Physical description: in most of Southeast Asia, Nagas are usually described as part human, part snake. In some areas, the description is more succinct. In Indonesia and Thailand, the Naga is a five-headed dragon that guards temples. Also in West Malaysia, Nagas are a species of multi-headed marine dragons that grow to terrible sizes. Nagas have jewels either in their hoods, necks, or heads. This jewel is more than just a decoration. The jewel forms in throat of the Nagas, and it emits a light brighter than diamond. Should a Naga need to discover anything in the dark, it need only disgorge the jewel, then swallow it again when it is ready. Though coveted, misfortune would befall anyone who killed a Naga to obtain the jewel. It is possible to obtain it by throwing dust upon it when it is out of the Naga's mouth. Some descriptions claim that the Nagas have jewel-studded faces or scales. The Naga have three distinct forms as follows: human, fully a human body with serpents crowning the head or growing from the neck split, upper body of a human with the lower region in snake form serpent, as a common serpent, usually with multiple heads. These forms are considered separate from the ability to transform into other living creatures, such as humans or lions, because the Naga's three forms above are a part of its own nature. Depictions of the Naga may favor one of the three forms described above, depending on the time period, region, and religion. In its human form, the Naga is characterized by the polycephalous serpent hood. A Naga may have a crown of serpents or serpents around its neck, but usually the human figure is hooded. In the split form, a Naga has a human body above the waist with a serpent body below the waist. The torso and above have human characteristics, including arms with five-fingered hands. Below the waist, serpent anatomy presents a strong tail, sometimes dubbing this form the mermaid form. In its serpent form, a Naga will have multiple heads. The number varies but is uneven. The most common counts are 3, 5, or 7. Sometimes the serpent form presents with a human face. While a Naga may take the form of a human, they don't belong to the human world at all. They belong to Nagaloka, the mysterious realm of the serpent. Nagini were known for their beauty. Stories describe their fair hips and their faces as resembling the full moon. Nagini are clever and are always well dressed, and when they appear as nymphs or women, mortal men often fall in love with them. Male Naga have slate-colored skin and cold, serpentine eyes. Apparently, the male Naga's visage is responsible for the evil nightmares about snakes and snake people. Naga types, tribes, and classes. Nagas are dragons of the earth, waters, sky, and heavens. Another division defines Nagas as divine snakes portioned into three groups: Nagas of the earth, the sky, and the heavens. Earth, or hidden, Nagas guard treasures deep within the earth, like precious metals or jewels. Water Nagas reside in palaces of gold, ruby, or emerald at the bottoms of springs, lakes, and rivers. Divine, or sky, Nagas form clouds and produce rain. Depending on the mood of the Naga, the rain could be for the crops or it could be a flood. Heavenly Nagas guard the temples of the gods. When the four classes are limited to three, the earth, hidden Nagas are combined with the water Nagas. Another classification for the Nagas is by tribe. Their tribes are the Nagas that dwell in the sea and the Nagas that dwell in the mountains. The Nagas of the mountain tribe, sometimes called the Nagas of the mountains and trees, have a very rare occurrence in legend. Nagas of the sea tribe, or those that lived in bodies of water, are far more common. In Buddhist tradition, the two tribes were tending towards a horrific war until Buddha himself intervened. The birth of the Nagas Prajapati had two fair and exceedingly beautiful daughters, Kadru and Vinata, and they both married the sage Kasyapa. Kasyapa granted each of them a boon of their choosing. Kadru chose to become the mother of 1,000 Nagas, all of equal splendor. Vinata, on the other hand, asked for two sons more powerful than the 1,000 children of her sister. In due time, she brought forth 1,000 egg, and her sister brought forth 2 eggs. Kadru, the tawny one, is the personification of the earth. Therefore, the earth is the mother of the Naga. After 500 years, all 1,000 Naga children hatched. It took another 500 years for Vinata to meet her child, the Garuda. The descendants of the Naga, many dynasties and groups, traced their ancestries back to mythological or legendary figures. Throughout the Far East, many families and tribes had a Naga ancestress. In ancient India, many royal houses identify at least one Naga or Nagini ancestor. Specific examples include the following: Dynasty of Kashmir, 8th century AD, descended from the Naga Kakota. Members of the ruling class in the Principality of Bardavia cited the Serpent King Vasuki as part of their lineage. Naga Pundarika founded the line of Rajas of Chuita, or Kota, Nagpur. Dynasty of Pallavas descended from the son of the Kola king Nada, female serpent demon. An historical dynasty of kings in India were known as the Nagadwipa. Naga as water deities. The great underground caverns and tunnels of Southeast Asia are attributed to the travels of the Naga, who would travel underground and occasionally surface for sunlight and air. They live in Bhagavati, the underground capital of the Naga, a glittering city full of music and flowers. As minor deities, the purpose of the Nagas was to populate the Paitana, the underworld. Yama, the king of the dead, rules Paitana, so the Naga answer to Yama. It was often their duty to guard shrines. Since the Naga race combined the title of demigod with the serpent aspect, they have a dual claim to riches and the possession of great wealth. Enemies of the Naga. While the Naga are quite powerful, they have several enemies, including the Garuda and the snake charmer. Should a Naga leave his or her home, post, or position, she or he was in danger of an attack from their only natural enemy, the Garuda bird. The Garuda are giant bird-like creatures and enjoy eating their mortal enemies, the Naga. As avowed enemies, the Garuda bird will pursue Nagas to release the earth's waters in a time of drought. Garuda and Naga are cousin races, so hereditary enmity also exists between them, and while the Naga race started with 1,000 members, the Garuda started with only one, but eventually an entire tribe of Garuda existed as a threat to the Naga. Despite the Garuda's fearsome nature as the scourge of Nagas, they are not afforded the same respect. Even a great man is not worshipped, as long as he has not caused some calamity. Men worship the Nagas, but not the Garuda, the slayer of Nagas. Naga most poisonous, Nagas of deadly venom, but they also carry the elixir of life and immortality. They have the gift of medical knowledge to heal poison. The Naga's bite is so poisonous it is described as setting fire or fiery. The destructive nature of poison resembles that of fire. This is why poisonous serpents have a high degree of tejas, Sanskrit for heat or fire, a magical energy ascribed to living creatures. Nagas only harm mortals when they are mistreated, so many superstitions exist to evade the wrath of a local Naga. This is because so deadly is the Naga's venom that a Naga's breath or stare could cause harm or kill. Naga of the priceless gifts. The Naga were guardians of more than just previous metals and jewels. Priceless objects, even magical objects, often fell under their protection. Consider the following gifts either given by the Naga or sought from the Naga. The daughter of the river Niranjana, a Nagini, brought the Bodhisattva a jeweled throne after his prolonged fast. Nagara, Naga king, presented a Brahmin guest with divine garments, ornaments, and a jewel that grants all wishes. Naga Vasunmai bestowed a wonderful lute used to capture elephants onto King Udhyana in thanks for Udhyana redeeming him from a snake charmer. Others have tried to win treasures from the Naga, such as Beryl Beauty, a matchless sword that endows its owner with invincibility and kingship over the fairies. Other priceless gifts of the Naga include the life-restoring jewel of Al-Lupai, the infallible lasso, and the Naga power-granting elixir. In some cases, the gifts were temporary, for as soon as those gifts touched the ground, the earth, the home of the Naga, they would disappear and return to the Naga world. Nagaloka. Naga in Buddhist law. When the Buddha achieved enlightenment, the Nagara Musalinda used his cobra hood to shield the Buddha from the elements, symbolizing the Naga's powers at the service of the Buddha. In Buddhist mythology, the Naga are devout worshippers of the Buddha, sometimes the guardians of sacred texts. Two Nagarajas, Nanda and Upananda, gave Gautama, the Buddha's mortal form, his first bath. The Buddha's alms bowl was a gift from the Nagas. Since some perceptions of the Nagas show them as demon serpents, there are many stories of a Naga transitioning from a demon spirit to a devout worshipper of the Buddha. The image of a Naga, as a guardian, represents life force. These images are often found at the portals of Buddhist shrines.